How's it going, ladies and gentlemen? Hope you're well. Have you seen that the Australian government has banned under 16s from accessing social media? It's to protect the kids, of course. It's always to protect the kids, isn't it? It's nothing to do with, you know, denying the kids another source of information that isn't the mainstream media or their teacher. No, it's not that. It's about protecting the kids. Of course it is. Now, that's not to say, of course, that there isn't, you know, a toxic element to social media, and there's a lot of nasty stuff on there. And I've got young kids. I'm not sure I would want my kids, you know, on social media with all that stuff going on, plus the data harvesting and all that stuff being done by the state, you know, so I get it. But for me to believe that the Australian government is banning under 16s from social media because they care about them, I would have to believe that the Australian government, or any government for that matter, cared about the kids. I'm sorry. I'm not a conspiracy theorist, do you know what I mean? I ain't gonna go that stupid. Now, what I found interesting about this is the fact that the UK government has announced they're keeping tabs on it. Now we're watching it. We're seeing how it's going in Australia. Oh yeah. Not like it's long planned for here as well, and the fact that they all do the same thing at the same time. So what they'll do, we'll say we're keeping tabs on it. I mean, we're already decided we're going to do it because we're all in lockstep with each other. But we'll say, for the sake of pretending to be an individual nation and an individual democracy, that we're just keeping tabs on it. And then, hey presto, we'll find it worked, and it was great. And now, oh mate, being under 16 in Australia now, oh, it's like a utopia. You know it. Also, ladies and gentlemen, it will tie into digital ID, because digital ID, as I've said a bunch of times, it's the base that all the pizza toppings fit on top of. So it's going to have an element in this. So what's the betting when they attempt to introduce it here, you know, the banning on under 16s from social media, which you know they will do, that the way that you will prove you're over 16 will be with a digital ID. And that's the only way you can prove it. That's the only way they'll accept. So what that does is it makes it mandatory for you to have digital ID to access social media. Just like we said they'd try and pull. Now, they've got a get out of jail free card in that. Easy for me to say. Because when you go back to them and go, whoa, hang on. You're introducing digital ID to access the internet? No. Don't be silly. It's not like that. It's for the kids. We're doing it to protect the kids. And if you care more about your, you know, personal freedoms than you do the protection of kids, then wow, they'll invert it. Yeah, wow. Well, okay. Now, like I said, for me to trust that the Australian government is doing this to protect the kids, I have to believe that they care about kids. Now that is ludicrous. Now with the UK government, when they try and introduce it, for me to believe that the UK government cares about children and that's why it's protecting them, I'm going to have to overlook quite a few things, aren't I, in terms of what goes on in the upper echelons of power and the industrial scale paedophilia and the looking the other way on the grooming gangs and everything else. I have to ignore that, don't I? Also, what I have to ignore is the fact that over the last couple of years, the amount of people that have gone to prison for words, spicy tweets or memes or whatever, they've been sent down by judges, which are an arm of the state, of course, judges that in every single case bar none have let off paedophiles, sex offenders or violent criminals. They've kept them out of jail, but they've put people in prison for words. It's almost like you don't care about kids, mate, innit? Yeah. Now, of course, when it comes to the internet and what I'm saying about the fact that it's another source of information for these youngsters, they don't want that. Now, as I say, like, there are horrible elements to the internet, of course there are, and there are horrible elements to social media, of course there is, I'm not denying that. But that's not why they're doing this. Because these goblins created the internet, they created the internet, and it's worked really, really well for them, and it's really important to this whole massive control grid. None of it's digital ID and all this sort of stuff, the Internet of Things, none of it functions without the internet. It's why it was a DARPA created invention. Like, I get it. But it's been used against them in certain ways. And I guess it's kind of like, I'm in the woods now, so say I breed an attack dog, right, that's gonna attack anyone that comes near the woods. okay, well, what's to say that at some point or another it don't try and bite me? And that's basically what the internet is. Yes, they've created it. Yes, they use it as an absolute, you know, vehicle for control. But at the same time, it can bite them in the bum cheeks, and it has done. Now, if you look at, say, the COVID era, without the internet and without social media, what did you have in terms of a source of information? You had the mainstream media, you had their experts and their doctors and the next slide please and all that sort of nonsense. In whatever nation you're in, that's what you had. And what did those people do? They lied. So now we're seeing in the last few weeks stories breaking out in the mainstream media as if it's breaking news, oh my God, have you seen this? Yeah. We were talking about it on social media 5 years ago, mate. Now, a lot of people saw that information. And if you just take the vaccine, the COVID vaccine, not that it's a vaccine, but you take that as one element, it was safe and effective. It was 100% safe and effective. Everyone should have it, even kids. It's well good. Well, roll up your sleeves, mate. It's amazing. Now, you had people on the internet, a lot of which, like me, were not even doctors. But do you know what I mean? Mr. Magoo could see that it was nonsense. Saying, look guys, have you seen this? Have you seen that? Have you seen this? Check this out. I'd think twice about that. Have you done your research? What about this? Have you seen that it's causing harms left, right and centre? Have you actually read the data from the so-called Pfizer trials? Any of this stuff. None of that was being spoken about on the mainstream media. That was on social media. So then imagine in 2020, how many people saw things on social media, then went and had a look for themselves, looked into things they wouldn't normally have looked into, and went, oh mate, yeah, I'm not getting it. I'm not taking that. I'm not complying with that. I'm not doing X, Y, and Z. And how many lives did that save? A lot. A lot. But now imagine it's 2020 and you take social media away. Or at least for young people, for under 16s, you take the access to that information away. Then what are they relying on? They're relying on the state. Is the state going to tell them it's dangerous? I don't think so. The state's going to tell them it's safe and effective. The state's going to tell them exactly what the state wants them to hear. And that's what you're going to find in Australia now. What do under 16s have access to? What the state wants them to have access to. And that's why we need to resist digital ID, because it's a crucial part of all of this. I think I'm trapped in here now. It's a crucial part of this. And so Saturday, London, 1:30, central London, will be protesting against digital ID. And that is, I really am trapped in here. Look, it's a barbed wire fence. Honestly, what am I on about? Not protesting to beg for permission, by the way, folks. Not to go there and say, oh, please, government, please don't do this to me. But to make a point to government that if you want to introduce this, you got to fight, sunshine. This isn't going to be easy. We are not going to fall to our knees and comply. Because in 2020, when we were protesting against, you know, vaccine mandates and lockdowns and all that kind of stuff, we weren't doing it then, begging for permission, because I didn't lock down anyway, and I didn't get jabbed anyway. So it wasn't like I was stood there going, oh, please don't make me do it. I wasn't doing it anyway. I'm making a point that I'm not having it, and I want you to know that I'm not having it. And also, it's quite nice to spend a day with like-minded people, to be fair. Anyway, I found a way out. Oh, mate. No, I haven't. That's barbed wire. All right, okay. Well, next time I do a video, folks, I might still be here.